Good afternoon, everyone. Country Flyboy here, and today, another rant video. See, I told you I was going to make this a regular thing, though I'm going to try to come up with a better name than rant, because, I just don't like that one. Now, the last video got some attention from Dovetails, who sort of messaged me on Twitter. They put out a tweet a few days ago, been about a week ago now, at time of recording, where they were asking people for features that they might want to see incorporated in Flight Sim World. Now, I sort of jokingly responded, do you want the long list or the short list? And they responded with both, and then mentioned that they had seen this video, yada yada yada, or the last one, not this one. So, in response to them, I'm gonna go over something. I'm gonna give Dovetail, and anyone who watches this who's a sim dev really, so if Laminar Research watches this, they get a free tip too. So, you know, I'm gonna give you a feature that I think would be a fantastic idea. It's been a requested feature going back as far as Flight Sim 9 that I know of. Career mode. Start from the bottom and work your way to the top. Now that sounds like a good idea. A lot of people in the Flight Sim community really enjoy services like FS Economy and add-ons like FS Passengers or Air Hauler. But me, I've never been on board with the idea, at least not until recently. But know that what I mean by career mode and what I think the community means by career mode are two different things. I think the community, people in the community have the issue of what they define as career mode. I think that they think that is the definitive definition, and they're imagining the feature how they want it to be, not how it actually will be. Now, a few months back, during the lead up to Flight Sim World's announcement and subsequent release, or even after it was released, I saw some people requesting this feature. People requested it for Prepared 3D. I saw it requested. I remember seeing it requested for FSX, and you know, I don't think I was around during the lead up to FS9, but it probably got requested then too. I saw some people on Dovetails live streams at the time, and I'm going to quote someone from those live streams. This is an actual quote by someone whose name I forget. It was, "Just put FS Economy in it." Now, my mind simply boggles at the idea that someone somewhere thought that was a good idea. Firstly, FS Economy, while a decent service and unique in its experience, it's not great. In fact, it's far from it. It has numerous problems with it, many of which would make it so that simply putting FS Economy in it would actually be detrimental to the game as a whole. One of the main problems is just how limited in scope FS Economy actually is. Now, personally, I think the sim devs should aim to be much better than simply just putting FS Economy in it. And when I say sim devs, I mean both Dovetail and Laminar Research. Kind of sort of P3D too, but P3D is shooting for a different market, and it seems they're committed to that. Here lately, I thought they were they were at least dipping their toes in the consumer market, but it doesn't seem like they think it's going to be something right now that they're focused on. So I highly doubt you'd ever see Prepared go this route. But Flight Sim World and X-Plane certainly could. Now, I'm going to propose this feature. I've been putting thought into this for quite a while now, and personally, I believe this is a big one. Now, I would love to see it done in Flight Sim World or X-Plane 11, and to be honest, the first one to implement something like what I'm about to propose would basically win the Flight Sim race, or at least they'd get a huge jump on their competitor. People want a career mode, but the thing is, I would be very dubious of a straight career mode in any flight sim. It runs the risk of locking off aircraft until we are able to afford them and are a high enough level to use them, and sometimes I really just want to fire up the plane and go somewhere with no regard for cost or skill level. Flight sims often look down on games, but I feel this is an area where we can look to the way other games have done things to find the perfect solution for this little dilemma. I'm going to name 3 games: Falcon 4, Cities Skylines, and American Truck Simulator. These 3 games, along with a few others, but mostly these 3, give us the answer. Instead of a career mode, What I propose is a job system. Now, I know this sounds like I'm just putting FS economy in it, but hear me out. There's very important differences to what I'm proposing. In American Truck Simulator, you drive cargo around from city to city. Each city has different businesses who need different cargo. You drive for the companies at first, accepting a lower pay for a lower risk scenario until you save up enough money to own your own truck. The pay then increases as you are taking on the risk of it's your truck and the company does not cover the expenses. The way you know what cargo needs to go where is via the job market. It tells you what's available, when it's due, and how much it's worth. Again, something like this in a flight sim is basically FS economy, right? Well, FS economy was all point-to-point jobs, A to B. What I think should be done is more variety of job types, not just cross-country, but also local area. Think test flights, maintenance flights, surveying, traffic reporting, air taxi. These and many other kinds of jobs could be offered. But that's not it. How are these jobs generated? This is where we look to city skylines. In cities, you build a city. You zone different areas as residential, commercial, and industrial. Residential buys goods from commercial. Commercial gets goods from industrial. One neat part of the game is that commercial will order from local industrial if they can. But if local industrial does not produce the good they need, they will import it from another city. This right here gives us the answer. I think it's best to describe this as to propose a scenario. Let's look at Fernandina Beach, Florida. What I'm thinking is this job system would have a database of every city in the world that has an airport. In addition to that data, it would know what kinds of businesses resides in that city. For Fernandina, we see a small island town. It consists mostly of what I will call consumer businesses, meaning they sell things when they have things to sell. Fernandina Beach does have a few producer businesses, notably a mill that takes in recycling and makes paper products, and a fishing marina. This also means Fernandina Beach needs to import most of their goods. They can produce paper products and fresh fish, but everything else has to come to them. And our job system will know this. So most jobs going to Fernandina Beach will be importing things that they can't make themselves, but a few jobs will export things that they can. Ideally, you would never see Fernandina Beach import fresh fish. They're more than capable of making their own fresh fish. Now, I could think of way more features to add to this. Local area jobs for one, tying it to AI traffic so you have to actively compete with the AI airplanes, or even implementing a hazardous cargo system so you get paid more for higher risk cargo. Maybe even renting hangar space, hiring AI pilots, and running your own in-game business, very similar to American and Euro Truck Simulator indeed. And many more ideas swim around in my little brain. The key to make this work, however, is that it can't be forced. American Truck Sim again shows us how to do it. In ATS, it's really hard to actually fail. Jobs pay way more than they do in real life, and expenses are way lower than they are in real life, so you practically have to try and fail at that game. But honestly, I think that's best. See, before I said sometimes I just want to pick a plane and fly, and it would be a shame if career mode put an arbitrary limitation on that. There are ways to implement these things without hampering gameplay. For example, instead of locking off certain planes until you have enough experience, why don't we take a page out of the MMO book and put a recommended minimum level on the planes? You can still fly them if you want, nothing is going to stop you, but it may warn you if you're attempting to fly a plane that is above your current skill level. And you know, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's thought of this. You know, every now and then you get this feeling that you and a dev you're just thinking on the same wavelength. Well, one of the features Dovetail added to Flight Sim World is that passengers in the aircraft are visibly linked to the payload of the plane. No weight in a particular payload station means no passenger appears seated there. Now, this may have been a simple cosmetic feature, but it's one that I think would absolutely be required to make a job system like this work. All about pulling you into the simulation, the immersion factor. And you know what? I pitched the idea of using cargo flights, but there's no reason to limit it to that. Point to point can be packs or cargo. Some jobs can have one passenger that require you to circle an area for 5 minutes while he takes pictures. Or maybe flight checking an instrument approach. The list of possibilities just goes on and on. And of course, these flights will do more than alter the payload of the plane. At the most basic level, sounds can be played to enhance the feel of the cargo you're carrying. Say if you're carrying a live cow, you hear the occasional moo. But you can go even further than that and have a system where cargo can have a chance of inducing failures, or possibly even making it so if you carry two types of cargo that normally would not be transported together, but you're trying to make a little extra coin, well, if you get caught, the fine is hefty. And what I mean by that is, say you have some cargo that's classified at hazard level, it's been a while, but I think like 4.3, hazardous when wet. You wouldn't carry cargo that's a liquid with that, but you might do it in the flight sim to try to make a little extra coin. But if something happens and you have to crash land or emergency land, of course there's an investigation, and if they find that you were transporting two types of cargo, one hazardous when wet and one that's a liquid, well, you're just stupid then, aren't you? So the fine's going to be a lot bigger. Like I said, I think a feature such as this is something the community really wants, and whilst it's similar to FS Economy, I think if it's going to be implemented on the sim level, then it needs to aim way higher than what FS Economy currently does. And again, whichever sim implements this idea first would basically have a golden ticket. Though honestly, I think it would be more difficult for Dovetail to do it than for X-Plane. Mostly because Flight Sim World only has a handful of aircraft. A feature such as this would necessitate enough default planes so that there is at least one that can handle each and every type of mission the job system can come up with. And you know you need not stop at simple GA type missions. This can be made to work with airlines and even military as well. Hell, Dovetail's own Train Sim World shows how it can be done in regards to regularly scheduled flights like an airline. So why then did I mention Falcon 4 in the beginning? Well, the thing is, Falcon 4 actually did this. Or, well, they did something similar to this. Falcon 4 is a game that came out in 1998 and contained a feature that has not been done, to my knowledge, before or since. It's a feature that the flight simming community is practically begging for, but I see little evidence that the sim devs are working to implement it. So what's the takeaway from this? Think outside the box, and if you're a flight simmer, don't be afraid to give actual video games a chance, because they can give you ideas as to how to get things done in this industry. A closed mind and an open mouth is a dangerous thing. And that's it. You know, this is just one thing, and I only touched on what I would do if I was the one calling the shots on a feature such as this. There is no limit to the number of things swimming around in my little head here, so yeah, I mean, I can think of way more stuff that needs to be done, and even ways to do it, particularly around a system like this, as I actually think it's a good idea if done correctly. So, what am I saying with that? Well, if there's any sim devs out there looking for a creative director of some kind, I might consider the position. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Dovetail basically wanted a feature request thing going on, so there's my submission. I know something like this would be very difficult to implement, and it would probably be something that's sort of late development. Like, assuming Dovetail started something like this when they began making the game, then it probably would be very late in the development of Flight Sim World before you saw a system like this in place. You might see hints or touches of it elsewhere, but something like this would require a lot of time and effort to get right. Are they going to do that? I don't know. Is X-Plane going to do that? I don't know. Is P3D going to do that? Probably not. Any one of them does that, and it instantly makes their flight sim a hell of a lot more attractive to people, especially when you can separate yourself from the established add-ons and services that already do it. FS Passengers, Air Hauler, FS Captain, and FS Economy. Those are the 4 big ones that come right off the top of my head. There's probably more though. But if you can separate yourself from them and make it clear that what you're offering is better, then if you build it, they will come. And that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Take care, everyone.
It goes, holy wow, that's a crosswind. Holy cow. I wonder if I can pit maneuver you.
I'm running on fumes, and I doubt it. Things are like a brick wall, so.
Hard.